Hello everyone, here we are at the Nürburgring. It's the fourth race weekend. We're psyched to be here. The weather is good, but here at the Eifel, at the Nürburgring, of course, you never know. And we've had 7 different pole positions in this season so far, and the man who's a pole setter is Mirko Bortolotti. So Mirko, what can you do in order to turn your pole position into a win, the first win of the season?
Well, have a good race and try to keep everyone behind me, basically. That's what we have to do in order to finish at the top. I think we've done a great start. We have had a great start to the weekend yesterday and managed to turn the good work into a great result this morning. But as we've seen last year, pole position doesn't really give you any guarantee. So I know that's going to be a tough race ahead of us, and we all are up for the challenge. We know that nothing is said yet, and we need to do a fantastic job if we want to be on top at the end.
Got to fight hard. All right, Mirko, thank you so much. Best of luck for the race. And now here are your commentators.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yes, welcome everybody to the Nürburgring, and it's almost 18 degrees. You'd almost think it's the summer here. It certainly wasn't like this earlier in the week. It's got better and better as the weekend has gone on. Track temperature is just over 18 degrees as well, so it is actually a fair bit warmer than it was for qualifying this morning and also for the practice sessions yesterday. A huge crowd here at the Nürburgring to witness what's going to be the fourth weekend of the season, and there is the grid. Mirko Bortolotti and championship leader Thomas Preining on the front row of the grid. Ricardo Feller at 4th in the championship, and Kelvin van der Linde are on row 2. Jack Aitken has put the Ferrari 5th on the grid. Frank Pereira, one of the race winners this year, is alongside him, and then Dennis Olsen on the podium last time out at the Nürburgring, and Lucas Auer on row 4. René Rast, the 3-time champion, and Marco Wittmann, the 2-time champion, are the best of the BMWs, 9th and 10th. Then it's Patrick Niederhauser and Lauren Heinrich starting 11th and 12th. Row 7, we've got Thierry Vermeulen and Clement Schmidt, and then just behind them on the 8th row, Sheldon van der Linde with work to do here, the driver 2nd in the championship. Maximilian Paul coming in for his 2nd ever weekend in DTM in the Lamborghini is alongside Lukas Stoltz, who won here last year, and David Schumacher, who's got a 5-place grid penalty. And next up with Maro Engel back in 19th, Matthias Drudy in 20th. Then on row 11, it's Ayenjan Nguyen and Arjun Maini, and then we've got Yusuf Avega back in 23rd, Christian Engelhardt, one of the race winners this year, in 24th. Tim Heinemann, who was the early season championship leader, even further back in 25th. Sandro Holtzen making his debut in the DTM this weekend is next up, with Luca Engsler and Alessio Deleda, the next 2 drivers to complete the grid, as we head back down onto the grid now and catch up with Verena.
And I'm here with Thomas Preining, the leader of the championship, and you're starting in P2, so obviously your main goal is probably to win and to extend the lead, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think winning is going to be tough. Mirko was super quick in quali, and you know, I mean, it's never easy to beat him, but I think if we can get a solid result today, also calculating we have 20 kilos extra, so I think it's going to be tricky, but we will do our best as always, and we should have a good race.
So the main focus is on the start and the first corner?
The first main focus. The focus always is to the next corner and objective in the race. For sure, the start is important. It's always not so easy here. I think on the outside, I'm in a decent position. At least I can brake late, hopefully. So let's see. It's going to be probably a bit of a mess in turn 1, like usual. I just hope I can stay out of it.
All right, well, best of luck, Thomas, for the race. And now here's your commentators.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, Thomas Preining on the front row of the grid for the 3rd time this season. He's been in the podium. He's been on pole position. He's on the front row here, and he's the championship leader. He picked up 2 extra championship points for qualifying 2nd, so he's on 90 points now, 12 points clear of Sheldon van der Linde, who, as we've said, has got work to do from the middle of the grid. Mirko Bortolotti moved up to 3rd in the championship from 6th, having picked up just 3 points for pole position. That's how tight it is in the championship. So he's next up on 63 points. Ricardo Feller is on 62, and then Maro Engel 5th in the championship on 61. Frank Pereira 60 points, so it's still super tight there, but a bit of a lead now building up for Thomas Preining. There is Sheldon van der Linde then, who had a great weekend at the Nürburgring last time out to pick up a double podium. He's a race winner now this season, 6 races, 6 different race winners so far this year. 7 qualifying sessions and 7 different pole sitters. 12 months ago, Kelvin van der Linde there finished 2nd to his brother Sheldon. They were 1st and 2nd, first ever brothers to finish 1-2 in a DTM race. That was the last time we saw Kelvin on a DTM podium, but he's got 4th on the grid today. It's his best qualifying of the year so far. And then there is Lucas Auer, one to watch as well, who was the driver, one of the 4 drivers that's won here in the past at the Nürburgring in the DTM. And news coming through before qualifying, a change after qualifying to the balance of performance. The Mercedes and the BMWs, which both struggled, have been reduced in weight by 15 kilograms each. So quite a big change for them. The Audis, the Ferraris have stayed the same. The Lamborghini and the Porsche have gained 5 kilograms, but the BMWs and the Mercedes will be much lighter than they were in qualifying. Except, of course, those drivers with success ballast, the top 3 from the previous race, carry 20, 10 and 5 kilograms additional success ballast for the next race. So Thomas Preining has that 20 kilograms of ballast on board. We saw Maximilian Paul there coming into the DTM this weekend in the Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini. So he's replacing Mick Wieshover this weekend. For now, it's just this one weekend, but he's hopeful of being back in the car for more. And Sandro Holtzen in a second Project 1 BMW is the other driver joining the grid this weekend. So, the grid starting to get ready now. Drivers starting to get kitted out. We're about to go racing in a few minutes' time. Let's go back to the grid and catch up again with Verena.
And I'm here with a new face, Sandro Holtzen, Project 1, starting in P26, new driver of the DTM. So how excited are you to be here?
I'm really excited. I'm also happy to be here. Yeah, and yeah, feels fantastic.
We're excited to have you here because I guess it just shows the whole training of BMW, what it can do, getting new talents even into the DTM, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's not the best starting position, but we will see what we can do. I'm really confident about the car and everything, so we will see.
All right, so push hard, have a fantastic race. Thank you so much. And yeah, we're looking forward to how this race is going to go here at the Nürburgring. We're absolutely thrilled, so hold on tight now because racing is about to start in just a bit, and here are your commentators.
Thanks, Verena. Good to hear from Sandro. Seems actually pretty chilled out and laid back. He's only 19 years old, so he now becomes the youngest driver on the grid. So thanks to Verena down on the grid. My name's Chris Hartley. I'm going to be talking you through the race action today and over the course of the weekend. And alongside me in the commentary box, also, I know, really looking forward to this, is Brian Oliver.
Good afternoon, Chris. I cannot wait for this. And already we have a different dynamic because of this BOP change overnight. We saw qualifying this morning. We thought that Bortolotti might run away with it from the front, but it could all change. Everything changing here in DTM. It's looking like it could be a really exciting and unpredictable race. Just the question is, will it stay dry?
Yeah, well, there is a 66% chance of some rain. If it's going to be rain, it's not going to be much, I don't think. It's going to be showery. But at the moment, it doesn't look like we're having to worry about that. But there is always the chance here in the Eifel region. So we're around about 65 kilometres away from Cologne. It's a fairly high altitude, and the weather here is notoriously volatile. So there is René Rast, who somehow is 7th in the championship, despite only doing 4 of the 6 races so far. He missed the one weekend at Zandvoort because of his Formula E duties, but he's very much back in the fight after 2 podiums, 2 second-place finishes at the Nürburgring last time out. Could have been a race win, but young Mr. Thomas Preining fired one at the inside into turn 1 and snatched the victory away from him, which René wasn't the best pleased about in post-race interviews, but it stood the results, and Thomas Preining, the winner, with his first victory of the season. There he is with the Grello on his back, referring to the famous Nürburgring 24-hour Nordschleife type livery that's on his car, green and yellow, hence Grello, and lots of the fans here supporting Thomas this weekend, the young Austrian, who was very much a championship front-runner in his first season last year. 5 years ago, he was the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland champion and a front-runner, a top 3 finisher in the Porsche Super Cup. He's come up through GT Masters and endurance racing up to last year, and now very much one of the key drivers in the championship. There is the Grello, or some of the Grello supporters here. And thanks to the cars on the grid, it's a fairly even, flat start-finish line until you get about 150 metres from the first corner, and then it is quite a steep drop downhill, actually, which you can't really see from the TV pictures, which makes it even more leery into that first corner. And then you get in the middle of the corner, and it gets even steeper the drop away. So back end of the cars go light. And it all gets very, very sketchy normally in the run, then into turn 2, the left-hander, where cars can run side by side. Cars then drivers getting into the cars, getting ready for the latest edition of the DTM 2023. It's the fourth weekend of the 2023 Championship. We're here at the Nürburgring, the legendary racetrack. There is the Nürburg Castle up on the hill, which dates back to the Middle Ages and provides spectacular views from the top of the tower there. This wonderful region. Over the back, we've got the wonderful, legendary Nordschleife to which this Grand Prix circuit connects. We actually use the sprint version of the circuit, and it's 3.629 kilometers long. It usually gives us lots of entertainment. 11 turns then, been in part of the DTM for 2 decades now. Last year, controversial moments in the race. In race 2, Bortolotti and van der Linde came together in the battle for a podium position, and Bortolotti dropped down to the back of the field. And then Bortolotti the previous day, a foggy day, up the inside of Felipe Fraga in the Ferrari for the lead of the race on a damp track. Got it wrong. Sheldon van der Linde nipped past, got the race win. Kelvin followed him through to get that famous 1-2 finish for the South African brothers. So it wasn't a good weekend here at the Nürburgring 12 months ago for Mirko Bortolotti. He actually started one of the races from pole position on the Saturday, but that was only because there was no qualifying last year. We had a several-hour delay due to the fog, and it was based on championship positions. And at the time, Mirko Bortolotti was the championship leader. It all went off the rails that weekend. He wound up down in 4th place in the championship, but he's qualified on pole here. And Brian, he did it with aplomb, didn't he? Because he got a time of 1 minute 25.118. Smashing the lap record, a qualifying lap record by the best part of 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, we thought that the lap times were going to come tumbling even more, but he got it into that pole position. No one could get anywhere near him. We should have seen the writing on the wall because he's been quick in free practice 1 and free practice 2 yesterday. So the Lamborghini is so incredibly strong. Remember, Thomas Preining is carrying that extra 20 kilos of success penalty as a ballast as a result of his win at Nürburgring last time out. And it'd be interesting to see whether that is going to hold him up. I should think that Ricardo Feller and Kelvin van der Linde behind will be aware of that and will want to try and get past Preining really early on so they don't get caught behind him.
That's right. So Preining is the last race winner at the Nürburgring with a 20 kilograms of success ballast. René Rast has got 10, and he finished 2nd and then 3rd, and way down the grid, but only with 5 kilograms of success ballast, is the BMW of the reigning champion, Sheldon van der Linde. So there you can see Thomas Preining, the Mante EMA team going well this weekend. Dennis Olsen has also been going well. He's not too far down the grid. They are one of the local teams, and when I say local, I mean they can see the circuit from the factory. Olaf Manto, who's built and formed the team, is still very much involved in DTM weekends. Lives locally as well, so they know this place like the back of their hands. The Nordschleife has been kind to them over the years as well, with more Nürburgring 24-hour race victories than any other team. Also local teams this weekend, Talk Sport, but with work to do for Christian Engelhardt and Tim Heinemann. They're way down in their Porsches towards the tail end of the grid. And HRT, another local team, the team founded by Hubert Hout. They are very much part of Nürburgring's history as well. Great to see so many people here. Brian and I been walking around the paddock this morning, and it's absolutely packed. The ADAC do a great job in providing lots of entertainment for families and young kids in particular. There's a whole fan zone out in the paddock with loads to do for the kids in terms of ball pits and race simulators, autograph sessions with drivers, and also a big tower up on the inside there, sort of 4- or 5-story tower that you can climb up this scaffold tower with a magnificent view of the whole circuit. And it's great to see the fans responding to this, isn't it, in their droves. We've got tens and tens of thousands of people here this weekend.
Yes, lots of fans, and some of them enjoyed the track safari yesterday. A couple of buses, 3 buses out on circuit with cars racing around them. An experience like no other. The pictures are insane, and it really was an experience for many of the drivers and the spectators. Yeah,
useful bit of extra practice time as well for one or two. As I said in qualified this morning, Maro Engel had problems with his ABS system in the 2nd free practice session. They got it fixed, and he got out there, and actually, because they weren't going flat out, but he got the chance to run the car and make sure it was all okay in that those safari laps. The drivers and the cars all whizzing around these buses for 2 laps for the buses, about 15 minutes in total, and it was a great success. First time that's ever been tried in the DTM. Next, see the grandstands absolutely packed. On board with Jack Aitken, who's already been on the podium this year. He's starting on the 3rd row of the grid. The former Formula 1 driver, raced in 1 Grand Prix. Was a Williams reserve driver for 3 years for Renault. He did the same job prior to that, raced in Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula Renault prior to that, and has been concentrating of late last few years on his GT career. So Jack Aitken has already been a race winner over the IMSA Championship this year, and on the podium the weekend that he took off to go and race at Watkins Glen from the DTM. He finished on the podium there as well, but he's concentrating full-time now for the rest of the season. So the ML Racing Ferrari there, number 14 of Jack Aitken, certainly going to be one to watch here. So 60-minute plus 1 lap race, mandatory pit stop where you change all 4 tyres. You have to do it between 20th and 40th minute of the race.
And I repeat, might be some rain from half an hour to 45 minutes from now onwards, but at the moment not in enough quantity to do wet, so I think we just have to survive through the slicks if that happens. So just for your information.
Famous last words.
Yes.
You won't need the wets. It's not going to rain that much. We'll see.
This is the Nürburgring. Don't you know anything?
Yeah, well, if you get a whole weekend without there being any changeable conditions here, you are very lucky. It almost never happens. So yeah, you look at a window and you think, that's not going to rain. Yeah. But it might do. Very localised here as well. Last night leaving the circuit, Brian and I drove through what can only be described as a huge cloudburst. We drove through it for no more than a couple of kilometres, and then it was bright sunshine again, so it's very localised here. We left our hotel this morning, which is about a 20-odd minute drive away, completely foggy. Got to the circuit, completely sunny. So you never know what's around the corner, but it could be tricky for the drivers, this. So the 4th weekend of the championship about to get underway with the first race of the weekend here, round 7 of DTM 2023. Mirko Bortolotti in the Lamborghini for SSR Performance, looking for his first win, first podium even of the season so far. Thomas Preining looking to extend further his championship lead in the Mante EMA Porsche just alongside him. And then on the second row, the 2 AB Sportsline teammates, Ricardo Feller and Kelvin van der Linde. Here we go then, Chris Hartley and Brian Oliver to talk you through the first race of the weekend here at the Nürburgring. We're about to go at full speed. When the red lights go out, the cars will have their rolling start. 60 minutes plus 1 lap of racing will be go. It's a long pause, it's a long wait. There are the lights, there's the line, and we are underway. And it's a good start from Mirko Bortolotti, but watch for Kelvin van der Linde to the right of your picture in the black Audi. He's going to go on the attack, and to the left, the blue Audi of Vella looking at the inside, and tagged there from Pereira on the back of van der Linde sends the South African into a spin at the first corner. His luckless season continues. He drops to the back of the pack. Over in the distance, Ricardo Feller is trying to be in second place at the moment, trying to get past Thomas Preining. He got Lucas out with a terrific start as well, just behind the lead quartet. He's got ahead of Jack Aitken. Got Dennis Olsen going on the prowl in the green Porsche as well. As Tim Heinemann trying to work his way up from a very lowly grid position, but it's Bortolotti, Preining, Feller, the top 3. Auer in 4th place. That incident is going to be investigated between Pereira in the Lamborghini and van der Linde in the Audi. And then you've got Jack Aitken in 5th, Dennis Olsen up to 6th. Pereira survives, he's 7th, Wittmann up to 8th, Rast up to 9th. And Patrick Niederhauser gaining a place as well, up into 10th position. So that's the order as they come through. You can see Sheldon van der Linde as well in the red BMW trying to come through here for Schubert Motorsport, trying to get at the inside of one of the Lamborghinis to gain a place as they come up to the chicane for the first time in the race. He's going to be on the outside for the next line. Look at the sparks fly from the race leader as he makes his way out through the chicane at turn 10 for the first time in the race. A fantastic sight. There's nearly 30 cars go side by side. Lucas Stops nearly goes sideways through the corner. One of the race winners here at the Nürburgring last year, and they make their way out of turn 11 over the start-finish line at a very busy first lap of the race with Bortolotti, Preining and Vella as the top 3, Brian.
Talking to the drivers before the race, they say the first big challenge is surviving that first lap. I think Lauren Heinrich's got a bit of damage. We saw him trailing some smoke. Lucas Stoltz also looked to be in the wars, but it looks like they have all got round that first lap, albeit some of them are losing a lot of places, but still going out wide, still defending. And Sheldon van der Linde are getting up close and personal, the GRT Grasser Lamborghini.
Yeah, says, excuse me, Clement Schmidt, taps him on the shoulder rather robustly. I'd like to come through, please. The BMW continues to try and charge at the order. He gained a few places in 14th place and a penalty lap 3 times for causing a collision for Franck Pereira. That incident into turn 1 involving him and the luckless Kelvin van der Linde. So he's got to go through the penalty box, which is on the outside the inside coming out of turn 1. It's got to go through that at a lower, reduced speed 3 times. Overall, that's probably, Brian, going to cost him about 15 seconds, isn't it?
Yeah, they reckon 5 seconds per lap. The penalty lap box is 200 metres long, and they've got to pass through it at no more than 50 kilometres an hour. So it is a penalty. It's not as bad as a drive-through, but 3 trips through there with the field this closely packed is going to drop him right to the back.
Yeah, you got to feel for Kelvin van der Linde. He doesn't seem to be able to buy any luck at the moment. It's just not happening this season, despite the fact he and the team have been quick. That is Matteo Drudi going wide and ragged in the Audi out wide there, right behind Lara and Eirik as they come through, or Tim Heinemann as they come through to complete another lap. Bortolotti 1.2 seconds clear. It's all rather robust in the middle of the order, as you can see. Bits of bodywork flying left, right and centre. This is the view back then from the championship leader, Thomas Preining. Remember, with this 20 kg of success ballast on the Porsche after his winning race 2 at the Nürburgring. So Ricardo Feller trying to take advantage of that and trying to nibble the Audi R8 up the inside if he can somewhere. The 5.2 litre V10 Audi, accelerated by the Swiss driver, one of the 6 different race winners we've had so far this season. He wants to get past, because all the time, Brian, you can see the race leader, Bortolotti, edging clear.
Yes, and this is exactly what we thought might happen. Remember, he is carrying that success ballast in the number 91 car. Ricardo Feller will be desperate to get past as quickly as possible, because every lap that passes Mirko Bortolotti is just stretching that gap. You can see the gap there on your screen. 2nd and 3rd running together, then a gap back to Lucas Auer at the Mercedes.
Yeah, Marco Wittmann's going well, isn't he? Had a good start from 10th up to 7th, obviously. We had Kelvin van der Linde as one of those positions he gained, and Sheldon van der Linde going on the attack now. Guess who he's about to overtake? That's the driver that had the contact with his brother from Pereira. Side by side, and the BMW goes through the Lamborghini right up on the curves. He's got the Ferrari right behind as well of Vermeulen. So great battle, but that puts Sheldon 12th for now. Vermeulen's got up the inside as well. He's trying to get up the inside of the BMW. Might just do it as well. Thierry Vermeulen, the young Dutch driver, with a terrific move there. He's going to gain 2 places when they get to the first corner, I think, because here comes Sheldon back at him on the outside. This is the rear-facing camera from the BMW. The inside line should belong to the Ferrari. He's not quite there yet. Sheldon's going to try and stay around the outside for the left-hander at turn 2. That's exactly what he's doing, and I think he might just have been successful in that. He gets the BMW back up the inside. They're still together as they go towards turn 3. There's a little love tap there from the Ferrari. Vermeulen can't quite get through. What a terrific battle. You got Max Paul as well, the newbie, getting stuck in as well, trying to find a way around the outside of the Ferrari, but that very nearly paid off. He has got 1 place, of course, but they've all absolutely pile-plast from Pereira now, who's also got these penalty box infringements to serve as well, so he's going to plummet down the order. So Vermeulen there with a really good bit of racecraft, but Sheldon van der Linde's got that number 1 on his car, Brian, for a reason.
It's a target, isn't it? Is it great to see Max Paul on his 2nd ever race in DTM getting stuck in with the fighting and making good progress in the Lamborghini. Black and white flag has been awarded to Lucas Stoltz for forcing another car off the track, that car being Matteo Drudi. The black and white flag, it's a warning at the moment for any more antics like that, and a penalty could be incoming.
Kelvin van der Linde has got 1 place back, 24th now. He got past Luca Engstler on the previous lap. He's now trying to get past Christian Engelhardt, I can see in the background, trying to go around the outside, Here is David Schumacher trying to recover from a 5-place grid penalty after his contact in race 2 at the Nürburgring. That pile goes past the commentary box as well. There are 4 or 5 of them together. So we've got Ferrari versus Mercedes here. This is looking back from Schumacher, the Lamborghini and the Mercedes of Stoltz involved as well, trying to come through, and Max Paul, they're nibbling in between them potentially. Who's going to get to the head of the queue? It's still going to be the Ferrari of Vermeulen just about, with David Schumacher fending off for now Lucas Stoltz and Max Paul. So Stoltz coming out best there, and Stoltz gets up the inside through turn 3 of fellow brandmate Schumacher. There's contact absolutely sideways, and into a spin goes Lucas Stoltz, centre round, facing in the wrong direction as they all come piling past him. 12 months ago, Lucas Stoltz was a race winner here on Sunday, but it has been huge disappointment today so far for him, and he's going to drop right to the back of the field. I think stewards will probably look at that as well. Neither Mercedes wanted to give an inch there, and unfortunately there was a coming together, and it was Stoltz that came off worst.
Yes, this opening few laps when the field is so bunched up, the drivers, there's that desperation to get past while you're close to the car in front, and you do see some of these moves, and it's been quite a lively first 7.5 minutes of the race. Still progress, and that is Kelvin van der Linde trying to come back after his spin at the beginning of the race with the Porsche in front of him of Tim Heinemann. The rest of the cars queuing up, but everybody just looking for that advantage early on.
Over the line, Mirko Bortolotti just set the fastest lap of the race. Then Marco Wittmann went quicker, and then Sheldon van der Linde has just got quicker still, as we see a replay from a different angle of that incident between Schumacher and Stolz. This is on board with David Schumacher, so Stolz is in front, but the inside line, he's trying to get back on the way through turn 4. There's the contact, and because he's on the outside and always with less grip, Stolz, who very nearly hung on to that actually, he's sent round and tipped into a 180-degree spin, and everybody just behind will have had their hearts in their mouths as they try to avoid the spinning and wide-running Mercedes of Stolz and Schumacher respectively, and Schubert. They held their breath there at one or two moments, no doubt involving René Rast, particularly Sheldon van der Linde, who's been on the attack here. He's got himself up to 12th place now. So Bortolotti was quickest, but the fastest lap of the race in the end, after all of that, has now gone to Sheldon van der Linde. So he's there into 12th position and well up into the championship points now. Kelvin van der Linde up to 19th place now. I think the red mist has come out. Kelvin is a bit wound up. He's going on the attack, but clearly the car is okay. It's working well.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there was any damage for that, but he's still got all that work to do. David Schumacher has been awarded 3 penalty laps. Here's team radio from Stolz.
Luca, is the car still okay? Then I would continue and try to see how the balance is of the car. And it might rain, so we stay out for the moment.
So that's Lucas Stolz, race engineer there, saying as long as the car's okay, you can stay out there. Do you know what? It might rain. This race might get mixed up. It's worth keep going. Look at this then, Clement Schmidt versus Sheldon van der Linde. Not the first time these two have been together in this race already. They've been keeping each other company. They're currently battling for 11th place. Van der Linde's got his nose in front. Can he get the inside line for the right-hander at turn 4? Yes, of course, is the answer. And the champion comes through. But the Austrian Clement Schmidt making him work very hard for this. They're going to go down into turn 5, the hairpin. This is where they turn off the Grand Prix loop. Downhill there, further downhill, and camber to the inside through the middle of the corner. And then you begin a gentle rise coming out of there through the left-hander at turn 6, the Kumo curver, and the right-hander at Bit Curver. And their car under investigation now for not respecting the penalty lap here. Is from Pereira, so you've got to serve it within one run past the start-finish line, and we haven't been tracking his progress, but it seems like he might not have gone in when he needed to serve that penalty.
Or he didn't slow down enough. What led to, as I was about to mention, David Schumacher has been awarded 3 penalty laps for that collision that we saw with Lucas Stolz. Here's a replay of the start.
Yeah, so the overhead camera, watch for the Audi about to get tagged by the Lamborghini. There, back end of the Audi comes up in the air, doesn't it? It's quite a forceful impact, and yeah, he got right underneath the rear splitter, didn't he, of the Lamborghini from Pereira. Raised the rear wheels of the Audi completely off the ground at one point, so he got no chance of catching that, had he, Kelvin van der Linde. He was two-wheeling it into the corner. It was quite a thud, that. From Pereira, how he's able to carry on without too much damage is pretty impressive in terms of the build quality of the Lamborghini there. This is on board with the pole sitter Mirko Bortolotti, looking back at everybody because he was in the lead of the race. Good start from Ricardo Feller, who was monstering all the way through the first lap, really, Thomas Preining, but couldn't quite find a way through. Engine Nguyen coming from a lower grip position, he's 19th at the moment, had quite a seat in the house there. Absolutely surrounded, everywhere you look, cars in front, to the side, behind him. Breathe in, it's a tight squeeze through here, and this then, oh, that's the replay looking at that move. I think that's from the front of Jack Aitken's Ferrari, isn't it? You saw that contact between Pereira and there, Kelvin van der Linde, huge hit that, and yeah, it could have been big damage to both of those cars. It's pretty impressive. They've both been able to continue on, really. And Kelvin is certainly continuing up the order, 16th place now. Do you know what? One more position gained, he's going to be back in the championship points. The top 15 score points. Good effort.
That really is a good effort. I should think the red mist has descended in the number 3 car. Trying to get around that corner on 4 wheels is pretty hard work. Doing it on 2 is near impossible, but he survived. He's coming back. Ricardo Feller starting to look impatient behind Thomas Preining. Now, pit stops are always very strategic when you want to try and attempt an undercut or an overcut, but with the weather coming in, and the black clouds are coming in, we can see it, it might be that a lot of these teams are going to keep the drivers out very late in the pit window because they don't want to be making extra pit stops if it does start raining.
You can see the gap at the graphic. Grew the gap a little bit for the previous 2 laps between these two, Preining and Vella, but Vella caught him up by a 10th on the last lap, which is why they are virtually nose to tail once again. And they're behind them, Lucas Auer, with less weight on the car now after the changes to the BOP after qualifying, going well. He's been the best of the Mercedes so far this weekend. They're above the Mercedes grandstand then, overlooking the arena. You can see a dark cloud looking a bit menacing, maybe coming our way. Half an hour into the race, we were hearing from Lucas Auer's engineer, that's when we can expect maybe some rain, but not too much. And certainly over the other side of the circuit, over towards the Nordschleife, it is looking a bit darker now as well. Great shot then of the cars working their way through the chicane here. And there, René Rast will look in the mirrors and think, hello, Sheldon van der Linde, my teammate, how did he get behind me so quickly? He's up to 11th place now. So doing a great job here, Sheldon, after a really disappointing qualifying. And the BMW now seems to be flying. So second in the championship. Want to dispatch of René Rast pretty quickly to get into the top 10. Teammates or not, though, that's not going to be an easy job, is it?
Yeah, Sheldon van der Linde is the quickest man on the track at 1:26.737. So that BMW is very dialed in. That's why he's closing up, putting in the fastest lap of anybody during this race so far.
David Schumacher, I think, has just served one of his runs through the penalty box on the previous lap because he's dropped down another place to 27th out of the 28. They're all still running, incidentally. Nobody's dropped out of the race. There's Kelvin van der Linde going through the shot in the black number 3 Abt Sportsline Audi. He's been doing some punditry in Formula E and his time off since the last DTM weekend. Kelvin van der Linde very much involved in Formula E. Both the van der Lindes keeping themselves busy in Formula E and other championships as well. And indeed, team director Martin Tomczyk has been very much involved in being a race director in Formula E as well. From Pereira, the other one that's been through the penalty box, down in 24th position now. As you look at that menacing cloud, which is right over the top of the paddock. There is the lead for Bortolotti, which is over 2.6 seconds now. Preining in second, Vella in third, Auer in fourth, Aitken in fifth, Olsen in sixth, Wittmann in 7th place. This is René Rast and his Schubert Motorsport teammate, Sheldon van der Linde. Sheldon, the drivers' champion last year, Schubert, the team's champions. René Rast coming in after all of his career in GTs with Audi into BMW family this season, and there, I'm afraid, is our first retirement. Luca Engstler out of the race, I'm afraid, in the Liqui Moly Audi R8, walking away, and that's real disappointment for the youngster, the former TCR Germany champion, also a winner of the TCR Championship in Asia and Malaysia, coming in with a good pedigree, but Luca Engstler with no luck in today's race. What about this then? Sheldon van der Linde versus René Rast. That's quite a lineup.
It really is. A René Rast who's still licking his wounds after Thomas Preining's audacious move to get past him at the Nürburgring. But he's got his teammate behind him. I don't know if there's going to be any love lost between them in this situation. Obviously, one a defending champion and another a multiple champion in DTM. But did you see Sheldon van der Linde getting a wheel out on the dirt? That's how hard he is trying to get past the René Rast car.
Yeah, just losing a little bit of ground there through that section, through sector 2. So Rast just edges a little bit clear as they go through Hatzenbeck turn 8 and heading up the hill now into the chicane. And here's a replay of exactly what you were talking about, trying just a little bit too hard, and that was where the car got trussed up, lost traction, and he just lost a couple of car lengths as a result of that. The track still climbs on the way through the chicane, and there, René Rast, I think, letting his teammate through. Didn't make life very difficult there, did he?
That was a gift, that was. René Rast didn't put up any fight at all, and I'm wondering whether Sheldon van der Linde is on fresher tyres and maybe René Rast is on older tyres.
Continuing to be on the naughty step is from Pereira. He's now being referred to the stewards for non-respect of the penalty lap. So a day to forget so far for Front Pereira after a good qualifying performance, putting on the third row of the grid, remember, and see side-by-side going past me as well, right, way down the order, but having a good battle from Pereira versus Alessio Deleda there. With Lucas Stoltz versus Front Pereira, and Stoltz gets at the inside, goes through. He's recovering from his spin after that, coming together with Schumacher, for which Schumacher, who's in the background there, as having to serve 3 runs through the penalty lap. So Deleda trying to come back at him, the Italian, in his second season of DTM, but Stoltz is through, and that's a change for 25th place. Now exactly where Luca wanted to be in this race. So with that change of position between the Schubert Motorsport BMWs, I think there's probably a bit of radio traffic, and probably the team have said, you know, Sheldon's a bit quicker at the moment, let him through, work together. And so that's up to 10th place now, 10th position for Sheldon van der Linde. A bit out wide coming out of the chicane there was Thomas Preining. He's sort of been holding station to the race leader for the last couple of laps, 2.8 seconds. It's only been creeping out for the last lap or two, but he might have lost a bit of time through the final sector there. We look back from the rear grille of the Ferrari of Jack Aitken to the bright green Dennis Olsen Mante EMA Porsche. Sort of suits the connection with the Australian EMA team, having the green and yellow on the cars, doesn't it? The Australian team sports colours. But Marco Wittmann looking menacing there. See the car just thumps over as the circuit through the apex just drops away through turn 1. And then it's actually slightly, you can't really tell from the TV pictures, but a slightly uphill climb then into turn 2. Brian and I know this because Brian ran around the track last night. I jogged exhausted behind him, and we got a real sense of, actually, there is a fair bit of elevation here, isn't there?
There is a lot more than you would think, and it's a fair old run, actually out of turn 8 all the way up to the final corner, turn 11 as well. There's a lot of undulation. But that turn 1, it is the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit, but it is so tricky, and that drop on the inside line is very steep.
Patrick Niedau's we saw there in the Temto Audi, working hard to fend off former Porsche Carrera Deutschland champion Laura and Heinrich. So they're having a decent battle for 8th and 9th positions, and guess who's coming after them in 10th? That's right, the red and yellow BMW of the reigning champion Sheldon van der Linde. That's a fantastic shot as they work their way through the curbs there and ride the curbs of the chicane, left then right. Got to get a good exit there, because as I say, it remains uphill on the exit.
It's raining in sector 2. Starts raining.
Mirko.
Copy Mirko, copy Mirko. It's only a slight shower, keep me informed.
Mirko Bortolotti on the radio there, back to base saying we've got a bit of rain in the middle sector, sector 2, so we're on the far side of the circuit. It's only light, don't worry, say the team. Look at this, riding and rattling over the curbs. These are very expensive cars, and they're just treating them with no respect really over these curbs, are they?
Yeah, we're measuring speed, we're measuring distance, but we're also measuring altitude this weekend as they bump over those curbs. So a little bit of rain, he says, looking out of our window, there's nothing on the pit straight at the moment, but I do think that with the pit window about to open, I don't think we're going to see cars coming in at all. I think a lot of people are going to be hedging their bets in case the rain does increase and they need to go to wet.
Exactly right, because if you pit now and then it does rain and you've got to pit again to put wets on, nightmare. But you can see them coming on the windscreen there. It's accentuated because he's going over 240 kilometres an hour at that point, so it looks worse than it is, which is why he had that little bit of reassurance from the team on the radio. It's not that bad, Mirko, don't worry, because he's got the issue of being the first one to arrive at every corner. He's the guinea pig at the moment, isn't he, for everybody else?
Yes, everybody looking at everybody else's lap times. Right, well, we got that one wrong, didn't we? That's the top sport of Laura and Heinrich peeling off into the pit. So they've decided clearly that the rain is not going to be coming with any kind of ferocity. So the first of the drivers in for their mandatory and scheduled pit stop.
And just for reference, based on the top 4 from last year, here at the Nürburgring, all told 35 to 37 seconds to make your pit stop. That's with the slowing down, the stop itself, coming out of the pits and building back up to speed. And Lucas Auer saying here yesterday that it takes longer than at some other circuits to generate heat in the tyres here, because partly because of the asphalt surface is quite slippery, but also because there are no real high-speed corners to generate that heat in the tyres. So what you're going to see for those coming out, with no tyre warmers, of course, in DTM allowed, is that the new tyres, the new Pirellis, are going to be like ice, aren't they, for more than half a lap?
Yes, and with the clouds coming in as well, the temperature of the circuit is dropping, so it's that much harder to generate that heat. It takes a few laps to get them into the window, and then you need to keep them in that window as well. Rain is starting to increase. You can see that on Sheldon van der Linde's windscreen. The windscreen wipers are now running. So we'll keep an eye on it. They think it's only going to be a light shower, but you can't predict anything when it comes to weather here at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, so Sheldon van der Linde up to 9th now, Rennie Rast up to 10th, Clemens Schmidt up to 11th place, and others move up as a result of that pit stop for Laura and Heinrich. So he's the first to make the pit stop now that the window is open in the middle 20 minutes of this 60-minute +1 lap race. Of course, it's a real tightrope for the drivers because you know that rain can change every time you get to a corner. It's not what you expected, not what it was last time, as Sheldon shows his nose, but doesn't ultimately find a way past the former ADAC GT Masters champion Patrick Niederhauser, who's going well here in 8th place. He's had some good runs this year. He's also had a bit of bad luck, Patrick Niederhauser, which is why he's further down the championship than he might be, but he has had an 8th place finish already at Zandvoort, so he's well capable of being up there. It's now been confirmed that it's a wet race. That doesn't mean the track is wet, it just means it is determined by the race, by Sven Stopper and everybody in race control, that it's wet conditions now, so you are allowed to put your wet tyres on. Just getting a bit mistier, a bit murkier. It looks like a different season than the start of the race, doesn't it? 20 minutes ago.
Doesn't take long to turn around, does it? So Lauren Heinrich has done his stop. Now Sandra Holzem is the second driver to have made his stop as well. We've got Luca Engster retired. Everybody else still out on their first stint in this. You can see the rain on the lens of the camera, but everybody is just holding out, aren't they? Waiting to see. Those are the wet weather tyres, ready to be put on if needed in the Manthey EMA garage.
Yeah, and the other thing to remember is that the track needs to have proper amounts of surface water for those wet tyres to work. So if it's just a little bit of drizzle, it's just spitting, yeah, it's not ideal on the slick tyres, but if you put wets on and there's no real surface water on the track, they get completely trashed. They will completely overheat, and that will be undrivable as well. So you won't see anybody diving yet. You might see Sheldon van der Linde diving up the inside. BMW's a menacing sight, isn't it, in the mirror? The big white BMW. Lights on now for the drivers in these conditions. Still some spots of rain out there, but nothing that's affecting them too much. So the last lap times of the race leader, 128.1 for Bortolotti's, best is 126.9. So they are going 1.2, 1.3 seconds slower than they were earlier in the race. Cars are lighter of fuel, but of course the tyres have worn down a bit, but it is most of that, I think, an effect of it being just that little bit more greasy out there, that they're all running more than a second off the pace that they were 5 or 10 minutes ago.
This feels like a big game of poker at the moment, waiting to see who blinks first. Everybody is just out there, staying out there. The pit window still open for another 15.5 minutes, but nobody, well, hardly anybody, is taking the gamble at the moment. The whole issue of undercuts and overcuts and trying to pit and get back out onto clear track kind of put to one side at the moment. Everybody waiting, looking to the skies to see. And now here comes one of the Emil Frey Racing Ferraris. And it's like Thierry Vermeulen. No, is it Jack Aitken that's coming in to the pits? And he goes very wide. It's a bit slippery in the pit lane, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So Aitken comes in, reduces the speed, sticks to the pit lane speed limit. A flash of the lights. Emil Frey Racing are ready for him. There's a great view looking into Jack's eyes. It looks completely laid back. And yeah, the spots of rain seem to be falling a little bit heavier, but it's not everywhere around the circuit. There are some breaks in the cloud as well. This must seem like forever coming down the pit lane at that speed for a racing driver who's normally belting at over 250 kilometres an hour. Rear wheels off first then it'll be the front. Restricted amount of people that can work on the car. One on the lollipop. Drops off the air jacks. That'll look pretty slick. 5.8 seconds is a really good stop. So some of the best stops we've seen this year so far have been in the low 6-second mark. Oh, and there's more and more rain as Jack now on cold tyres with more rain. This is going to be very understeery through turn one. He's going to have to use all of his experience and skills here to tippy-toe his way through the first couple of corners. This is going to widen the eyes there. I see him looking around, just trying to judge where there might be a bit of traction available to him. But that was the worst possible time for a bit more rain to come down when you're on fresh, new, already slippery tyres. He's doing a great job to keep you on the road here, isn't he?
Yes, I can see why they wanted to bring him in early, because they put on some nice new sticker tyres. So he's trying to get the faster tyre on as quickly as possible. They obviously don't think the rain is going to increase. Well, they might be wrong here, but they've got him out there trying to get the tyres up to temperature. Well, Jack Aitken, one of the most skilled drivers you'll come across, and he's going to be pulling on every resource he has to keep that Ferrari on the track.
Yeah, so Manthey keeping an eye on this as well. If anybody knows what the weather's going to do here, and not many people do, it might be Olaf Mantai and everybody involved in his team here, although I spoke to him about it yesterday, and Olaf just sort of smiled and said, I live here, I've got no idea what the weather's going to do. So there you go. If he doesn't know, we got no chance, have we? Right, here is Kelvin van der Linde on a mission. So he's up to 14th place now with those pit stops. He's onto the tail of Maro Engel, one of the 6 different race winners this year. And he is super brave, Kelvin van der Linde. It's getting slippery and greasy out there. Oh! Got a huge off, though. And that is Arjen Guven and Christian Engelhardt with damage and into the gravel trap. And both of them out of the race. And potentially, this is going to be a safety car. Arjen there looks like he's a bit winded as well. Hopefully he's okay. But that's been a big impact, hasn't it?
So this is going to be a safety car without a doubt. I hope it's not going to be a red flag, but look at the damage on the back of that. Hopefully we'll see. Well, we're going full course yellow initially, and it's may go to a safety car after this, but the car's now being brought down to 80 kilometers an hour while this situation is assessed. But this will change the whole dynamic of the race. You can see everybody now slowing down. But the first concern is just to make sure those drivers are okay, and those 2 cars clearly have got together a big impact. Safety car comes out onto the pit lane, and I think we will probably go full course safety car before too long. Of course, under full course yellow, this is when everybody's going to take the gamble on the pit stop. This is disadvantaged Jack Aitken, who pitted early, and he will be very frustrated to see a full course yellow at this stage on those tyres, having pitted under race conditions. Yeah, Preining in then, and certainly not the only one in. So you've also, of course, got Bortolotti, the race leader, in as well. You lose less time to everybody else because they're not at race speed, the ones that stay on track. So good time to come in and make the pit stop here. So they will rejoin there. Dennis Olsen just coming into shot. He's just about going to be in front of his teammate Thomas Preining. So not lost a great deal of ground there, has he, effectively? And this is Kelvin van der Linde coming in. Amp Sports finding Yusufa Vega in the background as well. We've got Marco Wittmann, Patrick Niederhauser, Sheldon van der Linde, Clement Schmidt, Maro Engel, Mattea Drudi and Front Pereira all in. And Wittmann just out ahead of Sheldon van der Linde, but only just. And Ty Drudy's come out of that pretty well, I would say, as well, because he was not knocking on the door of the top 10 before, but very much in the mix now. And there is Sheldon van der Linde coming out, and he's coming out ahead of Maro Engel, who was right behind last time we saw them just before that big accident. So he's gained at least 1 place. Front Pereira then in the pits, the driver that's had to serve these penalties. So he goes out, gets out just in front of Arjun Maini, and also pitting is Yusuf Avega here. So team changed the rears. Oh, is he?
All and the fronts.
Yeah, they haven't got any tyres ready for it. Yeah. So the team are there, but they had no wheels to put on the car. They've got there now. Did he overshoot his pit box? Maybe he had done that. Possibly. You've got to feel for Jack Aitken. He pitted just before all this happened. Good to see Christian Engelhardt and Arjen Guven out of the car. But Aitken is going to be massively disadvantaged, having pitted under green flag conditions. Here's a replay of what happened. All right, so Engelhardt has lost it because it's greasy. Skittles down the inside on the grass through turn 1. He's going to clatter into the Porsche of Guven, who has nothing to do with that. That is really unlucky for Arjen Guven, who has had a big hit there. You can see him wincing in the car when we saw the onboard, so clearly a huge impact there. And yeah, I mean, you know, nothing Christian could do about that. He just lost the car going into the corner. And then when you're on the grass on the inside, that is very slippery and muddy from the overnight rain that we had, and the car was completely out of control. There's the onboard view from Guven's perspective. Big hit there, and you can see the back of the car, the engine was exposed, and this is what it looked like from inside the car. The incident's under investigation, but just a racing incident, I'm afraid. To release the wheel, because you see how it snaps around there, the steering wheel, the impact. It's very easy to break your thumbs or your wrist there. So the racing driver's always taught to release the steering wheel, which fights against your natural instinct of wanting to hang on. Christian Engelhardt, because he's a good guy, Christian, going over to say, you know, sorry about that, nothing could do, but also to make sure that Guven was okay. Right, so lots of drama on track. Let's get some news from the pit lane with Verena.
Yes, and I'm here with the race engineer of Christian Engelhardt, Marius Avemark. Marius, can you tell us, we just saw that Christian wasn't able, I guess, to get steering. What was the problem?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We have to look at it. I just saw he got out of the car, so seems to be okay. Of course, it's a shame, especially with 2 Porsches involved. but we have to see what happened. Looked like he lost the car on the entry to turn 1, but more I don't know yet. So we will see after the race when we have some more information about it.
Thank you very much, Marius. Main important thing, obviously, he got out the car. Seems to be all right so far. Back to you.
Yes, exactly right. We're seeing them both walking back to the pit lane now.
Not allowed to do weaving in focus yellow, correct? Not allowed.
No, no weaving, no weaving. Just stay with 80.
Mirko Bortolotti on the radio there, checking the rules. I'm not allowed to weave, try and generate heat in the tyres, am I, under these conditions? No. You can see just how much it is raining there. Christian Engelhardt to the right, Ayan Nguyen to the left, looking at the severe damage to his car. It's going to be a late night, I'm afraid, for everybody at Team Bernhard. I said Deleda into the pits as well now to make his stop. What did they put on is the question. Dries or wets? Is anybody going to take the gamble and throw the wet tyres on? If you're going to take a gamble, Brian, it's usually somebody with nothing or less to lose towards the back of the field that just tries something different to everybody else. So you might just see one or two doing that. There's Alaf Mantai there to the right of the picture. So Fella, with all the chaos, has come out in the lead. Everybody's been in the pits at least once. So Fella is out ahead of Auer. Bortolotti is third. Van Gogh's his big advantage that he built up. Olsen is fourth, Preining is fifth, he's lost out as well. Rast is sixth, Vermeulen seventh. Max Paul, welcome back to DTM. Last time he was with us 2 years ago at the Red Bull Ring. He's in the points, he's in 8th place. Wittmann in 9th, Sheldon van der Linde sort of held station in 10th, Patrick Niederhauser in 11th. It is really lashing it down now as we see David Schumacher in the pits and into retirement. We've got, behind Patrick Niederhauser, Tim Heinemann in 12th, Lucas Stoltz up to 13th. That's not bad, given the impact of the spin he had. Clement Schmidt 14th, Kelvin van der Linde in the points in 15th, Maro Engel 16th, Deleda 17th, but pitting, and it is absolutely lashing it down now.
Interesting to see a number of drivers have pitted twice. So I'm wondering if we've had some going onto wet tyres, and none more so than Sheldon van der Linde. He's showing us having pitted twice. So I'm wondering whether they have actually fitted some wet tyres to that BMW.
Yeah. Vermeulen's done the same. He's been in twice, and Lucas Stoltz has been in twice, according to the pitch. Somebody else as well. Arjun Maini?
Yes, Maini was the other one. Yeah. I mean, it could be an absolutely wizard move getting onto wet tyres at the moment, because it is now lashing it down around the entire circuit. It's very greasy, and this could be a roll of the dice that might just pay off, particularly whilst they're behind full course yellow. Now, René Rast also into the pits. So what are they going to fit onto his car? We're going to have a very close look at the tyres when he comes to a stop. It's got to be, hasn't it?
You've got to go for wets now, surely. I wonder if Deleda put wets on as well. I suspect he might have, and he's only had to pit once, so Deleda could be in a really good position here. But we didn't see from the where he was on the pit lane. But I reckon Deleda might have gone wet tyres as well, and he's only had one stop. So René Rast out on wet tyres. You've got to say, that's got to, he's going to drop to the back of the queue, of course, but that's got to be the way forward, hasn't it? Because even if it dries up, it ain't going to dry up that quickly, and on slick tyres, it's going to be absolutely treacherous. You're going to be miles quicker on the wet tyre. We've got more coming into the pits from Pereira. Lauren Heinrich, he was the first one to pit at all, wasn't he? Yeah. And Jack Aitken back in as well, surely all switching to the wet tyre. Yeah, it was bad luck for Jack Aitken, wasn't it? One lap later, and it would have been the perfect time to come in and change to wets. Let's get some more news down in the pit lane.
I'm now here with David Schumacher. David, after the incident, you got a penalty, and now we see you in the box. Why did the race end for you?
Yeah, sadly the race ended. I mean, I find it very unfair from the stewards to give me the penalty for this, because, I mean, I was next to Luca and he didn't give me any space, so I had to go somewhere. I mean, I hit the curb and then I hit him, but if you don't give me enough space, there's nowhere I can go. And to give me a penalty for this, and such a big one as well, is very unfair in my mind. But yeah, the stewards decide quite harshly anyways this season, so yeah, I have to see to stay out of trouble completely, so I don't even get into that point. But yeah, it's a shame. I mean, we were definitely quick enough to get some points. So yeah, now we had to retire the car with a bit too much damage in the front. My steering wasn't straight anymore. The car didn't work properly, so we decided to retire.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Back to you.
Thanks, Farina. Wet's going on to front Pereira's car. Wet's going on to Jack Aitken's car, and it's all got a bit messy down in the pit lane. Aitken trying to come in. This is a replay. As trying to go out was Pereira, and we also saw Deleda off the road. So I wonder if he maybe didn't go to wets but to the dry tyre. Either way, he didn't have any grip whatsoever there. Did he lock up and off into the gravel trap at turn 1, which is even more treacherous than everywhere because it's slightly downhill there. We've had Lauren Heinrich off the road as well, so even though they're none of them at full speed, it's sorry, Tim Heinemann off the road. So even though we're not at full speed, it's still causing the cars to go off the road here because it's so slippery and greasy. But guess what? We're in the Eiffel, and that rain, I reckon, is starting to ease, starting to go away. The full course yellow is about to end, it says on our information screen, in 10 seconds' time. You can see for yourself some glinting off the paintwork of the cars now. As quickly as it's come, that rain is going. Yeah. So if you just held station, you just stuck with your slick tyres, and of course they weren't running at full speed, although it was still very slippy as we saw, then maybe that was the right decision now. Because if you got on wets, they're going to be all right for a few laps, but they're suddenly going to get too hot, and you might have to come in again if you're Rennie Rast, if you're Jack Aitken, if you're from Pereira and those drivers, and come in and put slicks on. So, nightmare.
I was really surprised to see Emil Frey bringing Jack Aitken in, actually, having got that disadvantage, having pitted under green originally, got it onto slicks. You would have thought that the best opportunity would have been to have just chanced it out on slicks, because the way things are looking now, he may well have to come back in again for another stop to put slicks on it.
Yeah, and it wasn't all over the circuit that it was raining. So we look out the window of the commentary box on the start-finish straight. The track actually never really looked properly wet. Over at turn 1 it did, further around the lap it did, but here it's actually kind of stayed pretty dry. So yeah, it's just pot luck, isn't it? You have to gamble. Nobody, even the brightest minds, and even those with the biggest, most expensive weather apps, you just cannot predict the weather in this part of the world, as has been proven time and time and time again. And so you get these mixed up results, I think, which we're about to get. But Bortolotti getting back, once it all settled down then, back ahead of Preining and Feller. So he was, last time we saw him on the timing screen, coming past us down in third, but he's now back up to first, and with a 7.4 second lead. So he's held the lead, Preining second, Feller third, as they were, Auer in fourth. Olsen's gained a place up to fifth. Wittmann's gained a place up to sixth. Shelton van der Linde has moved up to seventh now. Patrick Niederhauser has dropped behind him into eighth. Thierry Vermeulen ninth. Max Paul in 10th place. And we can get some more news from Verena.
Yeah, so now let's find out about Christian Engelhardt. I mean, sorry, about Güven Ayachan. He looked to be in pain after the incident, but what have you heard so far? Is he doing all right?
Yeah, first he had a hard time breathing, apparently, but then he got out and all was okay. He was walking, so yeah, very unfortunate, so nothing he could do. And yeah, it hurts a lot because due to the crash, they brought out Foucault's yellow, and this destroyed the race of our second car. So yeah, it was very bad situation for our team.
The main important thing that he's all right, and all in all, I mean, the situation with the wet, do you think that's because of the wet?
Yeah, it was drizzling, and I just saw that Engelhardt already arrived, like the car sideways. I'm pretty sure it was because of the drizzle or low grip situation. Yeah.
Right, Timo, thank you very much, and back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Timo Bernhard there, the Kuss Team Bernhard team principal and No-Mean Racing driver himself. So, yeah, big impact that was. And, yeah, Güven definitely struggling. Delayed disc car has not been recovered. He's also mentioning there that that full course yellow sort of messed up Lauren Heinrich's run, didn't it, as well? So he's, yeah, dropped down to 20th place now as a result, really pitting at the wrong time and the full course yellow coming out. It's bad luck for the team all round, really.
Yes, it's we've got safety car out now to try and retrieve the Delta car, but it is the perfect storm almost, isn't it? Literally, with the rain coming down, the full course yellow, the accidents, and it just sometimes it goes against you, and you've just got to brush yourself off and come back again and do it all tomorrow.
The full course yellow, everybody reduces their speed and delta and sector times, so gaps should stay as they were. Safety car, that's not the case. So 6.5 second lead is about to vanish for Mirko Bortolotti. Thomas Preining will be right on his case. Ricardo Feller will be right behind, and then Auer, Olsen and Wittmann up next. Wittmann and van der Linde, the BMW 6th and 7th. We know we have that reduction in BOP weight, but given where the BMWs were in qualifying, even if they finish where they are, I think they'll both be pretty pleased with 6th and 7th, wouldn't they?
Yes, I think they probably would. There's been great progress. It's interesting, our timing screen was saying originally that Sheldon van der Linde had done 2 stops. It's now corrected itself back to 1, so maybe he still is on those original tyres. I was about to say, I wonder if anybody is going to come back in for slicks. Jack Aitken, he spent more time in the pit lane, and now he's on the track. It looks like he's back in again. I reckon it's for a set of slicks that he's going to go back out there. What was looking like such a strong race for him. It's just turning into a disaster at the moment. It feels a bit like it's damage limitation now, doesn't it?
Yeah, the way his luck's going, as soon as he comes out of the pit lane,
It'll rain.
throw it down with rain, won't it? Rennie Rast, likewise, he's having to come back in and swap from wets to dry, so he's going to plummet down the order as well to the tail end of the field. Tell you what, they could be. I mean, they'll get back onto the back of the queue now. I think the safety car has influenced the decision. So right, we're going to drop to the back of the queue, but we are still going to be with the pack, with the drivers, because they're all benched up behind the safety car. Had there not been a safety car, they might have tried to push it on a little bit longer. But Aitken and Rast come in. They change to slick tyres. They're going to be on the back of the queue, and it could be quite good fun to watch them trying to charge their way through. And Lauren Heinrich is going to do exactly the same. I think he's coming into the pits as well. Yeah, I think you can see parts of the track look completely dry, although we did have a little bit of rain in free practice 1 yesterday, or before free practice 1. It looked dry to us all the way through the 45-minute session. You and I spoke to Jack Aitken afterwards. He said, no, still, actually, it was really slippery and really greasy, even once the rain has gone. It sort of has that effect on the track for a while afterwards, it seems.
Yes, and a little bit more rain in the next 17.5 minutes is not out of the question either. It could all yet change again, as Alessio Delada's car is fairly unceremoniously hauled from the track and put in a safe place. The team will work on that and have that ready for tomorrow's race. But look at those dark clouds still around.
And 31,000 euros donated for race laps for Wales in Africa so far. This is the total number of laps added up for all of the cars accumulated by BWT to help fund clean water and water well projects in Africa. So it's a great initiative that happens every race weekend, and every lap that is complete, that total goes up and up and up by a number of euros. So great to see that happening. Great amount of money being raised for a very worthwhile cause. Now, did you notice behind the safety car who's behind Mirko Bortolotti, Brian? It's not Thomas Preining.
Who is it? I didn't. Tell me.
It's his teammate from Pereira, who's 22nd and a lap down.
Oh, right.
That's quite useful, isn't it, if you're SSR Performance?
A rear gunner there behind him. Now, that's going to be quite interesting, isn't it? I wonder if there's a message, surely not a message being given there. But from Pereira, he had such a good qualifying session and all the dramas at the beginning of this race. So he's there. Thomas Preining will be wanting to get past him as quickly as possible when we get back to green flag conditions.
So, yeah, what rain? It's completely dry over that side of the circuit now. It's a great shot looking at the reigning champion, Sheldon van der Linde. That's the view he's got looking out of the windscreen. Two-time champion Marco Wittmann ahead of him. That could be quite good fun watching these two go together, because Sheldon's pace has been good in this race, hasn't it? Having come up from the middle of the pack in his lowly grid position on the 8th row of the grid from 15th. He's risen all the way up to 7th now, and with chances to gain more places here. Yes,
he still holds, unsurprisingly, the fastest lap of the race. Obviously, the track has not got any quicker since lap 5 when he put in the 1:26.737. But showing there is pace in that, and it must feel so tempting. You're in that queue. You can actually see the leader now, and you're thinking, well, all I need to do is just nip past that handful of cars in front of me, if only it was that easy. But you can see the cars now all bunched up. All the gaps are gone. So when we go back to green flag conditions, it could be a little bit lively as drivers suddenly see this opportunity to make up some places.
So at the moment, Thomas Preining, the championship leader, is second. If he stays there, that's going to give him 20 points. Sheldon van der Linde is his nearest rival in the championship. He's 12 points behind. At the moment, he is 7th and would score 10 points. So the gap would grow by another 10 points if they stay where they are. From 12 to 22 points, the championship advantage. Now, a reminder that the fuel used this season in DTM is more environmentally friendly than previous fuels, made up of 50% renewable components. And there is the view back, looking at Ricardo Feller from the Porsche rear wing of Thomas Preining. So Mirko Bortolotti third in the championship with 63 points. If he wins, he'll get 25 points. That will move him on to 88. He was, coming into this race, 27 points behind Preining. He'll get that gap down to 22 points. So
doing the maths there, he's got to shoot the socks off there.
What a very big abacus in the commentary box.
Ricardo Feller, though, again, Mr. Consistency in that third place. The points haul from that, if he can keep it in third place, will be very useful indeed. And he has been so consistent. Now, car 94 under investigation for an unsafe release from the pits. So Frank Pereira continues to draw the attention of the stewards.
Yeah, what we're going to get is a bit of a gap from the top four back now forming, because Preining, van der Linde, Sheldon that is, Bortolotti and Ricardo Feller are all doing okay in this race, but fifth in the championship, Maro Engel, not going great. Front Pereira, definitely not going great. He's a lap down, he's sixth in the championship. René Rast, not going great, seventh in the championship. So they're going to slip back as it stands, but maybe coming up ahead of a few of them is Dennis Olsen. He is going well. He's eighth in the championship, and at the moment he's fifth in the race. Maybe knocking on the door of a second consecutive podium. We're about to get back up to race speed then, after a prolonged period, and 13 minutes remain, and bye-bye Mirko Bortolotti. Front Pereira there, the cork in the bottle, holding up Preining, holding up Feller, holding up Auer. Bortolotti's almost got his 7-second advantage back. He's not even got to the first corner yet. So that was teamwork. They won't be happy about that, all the other drivers. And Lucas Auer's got ahead of Feller already. He's trying to get ahead of Preining down the Mercedes. He's gone up the inside. He's almost off the road. Lucas Auer's one of the bravest drivers out there. He won't give in. He gets past Preining. He's gone from fourth to second. Ricardo Feller, he's trying to get up the inside as well. But he's gone to the outside for the right-hander at turn 4. When they get there in a moment, Preining is going to try and hold that inside line, but Auer is through. Preining drops to third. Feller there in fourth. Olsen is right there in fifth position. This is the new back from Thomas Preining, looking at Ricardo Feller, monstering him, and they're right behind all of them, of course, is Marco Wittmann in the first of the BMWs, the Project 1 car, just half a length clear also of the red Schubert car of the reigning champion Sheldon van der Linde. So Bortolotti's gone. That worked like a treat, didn't it, with his teammate just going very slowly off the safety car restart and holding everybody else up behind him.
I'm sure that was just coincidental. Lucas Auer there, he managed to leapfrog Thomas Preining and Ricardo Feller. That was a great move from him in the Mercedes. Now, what can he do about Mirko Bortolotti? Can he reel him in? We're going to look at the gap. So Thomas Preining taking a completely different line through the corner. Ricardo Feller, he's not done yet. He still is fed up and looking at the back of that Porsche. Still the battles further on back. That's Kelvin van der Linde coming under pressure as well, and that is from Clemens Schmid.
Guess what? From the DTM notice board has just popped up on my phone. From Pereira, guess what? He's under investigation for the restart. And he's going to be investigated by the Sporting Commission after the race. He is going to be up with the stewards for about 3 hours after this race with all the things they've got to talk about. But Bortolotti might just buy him a huge pint of beer later on, because he did him a massive favour there, didn't he? Right, so Bortolotti leads, 2 seconds clear of Auer in second. Preining is there in third. Feller's breathing down his neck there in the blue Audi in fourth place. Olsen is just falling away a little bit in the green Porsche in fifth place. Wittmann sixth. Sheldon van der Linde seventh. Eighth, Patrick Niederhauser. Ninth, Pierre Vermeulen. Maro Engel not doing so badly now. He's up to 10th place ahead of Max Paul, and up to 12th place. Remember, he was at the back of the field after turn 1. Kelvin van der Linde, who's also not a fully signed up member of the Front Pereira fan club this weekend. So 12th now for Kelvin, and I dare say he'll go on the attack again if he gets a chance.
Sandra Holzem and Clemens Schmid get a visit to the penalty box for speeding under the full course yellow, so their afternoon will go from bad to worse. They will have to pass through that box. But Lucas Auer, what a move that was. How did he leapfrog 2 cars? Fellas going, how did he do that? Because I'm still staring at the back of Thomas Preining, albeit now with Lucas Auer, who's jumped up in front of them.
Clemens Schmidt and Sandro Holzem are going to have to go through the penalty box for speeding under full course yellow. They've been busy in race control, haven't they? Stewards have had a lot of paperwork to get through in this race. It's been pretty chaotic from that point of view. It's never a dull moment at the Nürburgring. You can absolutely guarantee it. And there we've got this battle still going on. Yeah, looks like 1 or 2 spots of rain out there, aren't there? You wouldn't put it past this place to have another downpour at some point. What about those trying to come from the back of the field, having been in and out of the pits? Rast 21st, Aitken 22nd. They've actually dropped back. Heinrich has got ahead of Rast up to 20th, but they're all out of the top 15, and therefore they're all out of the championship points at the moment.
Oh, wow, the high drama, and there's still, well, just a little under 10 minutes of this race remaining, and this is the battle that seems to, well, it has been raging on for the entire race. Once again, Thomas Preining, remember, he has that success penalty on board, and he has Ricardo Feller still trying to work his way past. Lucas Auer is, well, last time they crossed the line, 2.514 behind Mirko Bortolotti, so not really making any inroads into the leader. So Lucas Auer, solid in second, not under threat, but also not really looking like he's going to reel in Bortolotti.
You know, so Kelvin van der Linde was 12th. He's not 12th anymore, he's 11th now. He's got past Max Paul, so he continues to rise up the order. Looking back at his teammate there, Ricardo Fellows, having a terrific second season in the DTM. He's been a two-time race winner, once this year at Zandvoort from pole, once last year at Imola from pole position, but he's been picking up good, consistent results. Shows his nose to Thomas Preining. Remember, Thomas got the extra weight on the Porsche for winning race 2 at the Nürburgring, but if it stays like this, he's going to shed some of that weight tomorrow at third place and only have 5 kilograms of success ballast rather than 20. Bortolotti will gain 20 because he's on course for his first podium, and indeed first race win of the year here, Mirko Bortolotti, which would make it 7 different winners from 7 races. Predictable? Never. Not the DTM. Right, Matteo Drudi's gained a place up to 13th. Tim Heinemann is 14th now, slipping back. And Lucas Stoltz and Arjun Maini have both found a way past Clement Schmidt because he went through the penalty box. So Lucas Stoltz recovering at least 1 championship point out of his coming together with David Schumacher. Now, he wasn't best pleased about picking up the brunt of the decision from the stewards there. It's actually the 3rd race running now. The stewards have found him to be guilty of moves, 2 at the Nürburgring and once now here. So David, frustration boiling over a little bit for him, but he'll come back. He's been a good point scorer so far this season on a number of occasions, and we'll see what he can do tomorrow. So the race leader, 2.3 seconds clear. That's Jack Aitken trying to scrabble something out of the race here, but it's hugely disappointing. We'd have had definitely an eye on the podium given his grid position and the speed and the skills that we know he's got, but luck has not been with him today with the weather gods, and so he finds himself fighting Sandro Holtzen for 21st position. Ricardo Fella shows his nose again. There is Dennis Olsen in 5th place. We get his team radio.
If you have the pace, try to attack the Audi in front. If you have the pace, try to attack the Audi.
Understood. Dennis silent, but
yes,
he will. I mean,
message received.
You would, wouldn't you? If you were quick enough, you'd try and get the position. So try and push on.
Lucas Auer has taken half second out of Mirko Bortolotti on the last lap, so that's worth keeping an eye on. Having said that he wasn't making inroads, well, he is now. I don't know if 6.5 minutes is going to be enough to find 2 seconds, but Lucas Auer hasn't given up on the top step of the podium yet.
Lucas Auer doesn't know how to give up. He's unbelievably determined, isn't he? As has been proven just by being on the grid this season after what happened to him earlier in the year at Daytona. This horrific crash and horrific injuries that he suffered. So yeah, Lucas still pushing on, gap just over 2 seconds. Yeah, the other reason that the team would quite like Dennis Olsen to start harassing Ricardo Fella is that that would then take a bit of pressure off Dennis's teammate, which is Thomas Preining in the bright yellow and green Porsche, just ahead of Ricardo at the moment. But I think the answer to the question is Dennis hasn't quite got the pace, as he's falling away a little bit from that battle now, but looks safe in 5th position.
Team Landgraf are under investigation for an infringement of radio rules. So some information that may have been passed. That, of course, is Mauro Engel, who's currently in 10th place. So quite unusual to see that popping up on our timing screen. So an investigation going on there for Landgraf as well.
And there is Mauro Engel. And the man Bacardi's got right behind him, of course, Kelvin van der Linde, who is on the attack here, really quick. Kelvin just hasn't had the results that he probably should have had in that car because of various amounts of bad luck, a couple of technical issues this season as well. But pretty much every time he's rolled out in a race, he's been on the pace this season, and would have been fancying his chances of a first podium in 2023 until he got to the first corner and found the back end of his car up in the air. That huge hit, but if there's anything positive to take from it, it's the fact that he's still in the race, because that car could have well been out of the race with massive damage, couldn't it? And he is going to drag something out of it. 11th place is not exactly ideal, but it's good reward from his drive from the back of the field, and he might get 10th out of this as well.
He may well do, actually. He's heading in that direction. Lucas Auer has taken another half a second out of Mirko Bortolotti, so that Mercedes is closing in about half a second a lap at the moment. This is most certainly not all over.
No, but the fastest man on the track is Ricardo Fella in 4th. He's just at the fastest lap of the entire race last time around. So he's pushing on as well, trying to harass Preining for a podium finish. And here comes Kelvin van der Linde. He's got his nose up the inside. He's not alongside yet. He's not in front, but you can guarantee he's going to throw it up the inside now at turn 1 to try and get 10th place away from Maro Engel. Maro will try and stay on the outside to give him the inside for the left-hander coming up, but the momentum seems to be with Kelvin van der Linde, and the South African gets through with a fully committed move. Another fully committed move in this race. 10th place. It's been a great drive, this, from Kelvin.
Yes, absolutely brilliant. Sometimes you need that little extra motivation, don't we? As we look at Mattia Drudi on the inside of the Lamborghini as well. Drudi is in 13th place. Max Paul was in 12th place. Was that Max Paul he got past? Yes, I think it was. So Mattia Drudi passed Max Paul and up into 12th place. Yeah, which would be his best result of the season so far. Mattia Drudi, an Audi factory driver, and Italian going well at the moment. So he's some way off Kelvin van der Linde. That might be his run complete. There you can see how the gap has been coming down 3 to 4 tenths of a second per lap between Bortolotti and Auer. So Auer is very much in the fight. Time is against him though. 3 minutes plus 1 lap of the race to go. It's a 60-minute plus 1 lap race to go as they come past the commentary box, head over the start-finish line. The lights blaring on the Mercedes, the Team Windward car, the last year's championship runner-up, team that were runners-up in the 2022 Teams Championship as well. Lucas said they've been struggling a little bit with the tyres and getting the right setup of the car this year, but they definitely seem to have unlocked something here. He's pushing on, and the Mercedes gets to within a second now, 0.973 seconds. Here's Ricardo Feller munstering Thomas Preining, but he hasn't put a wheel wrong yet. Thomas hasn't left the door open. There's big battles going on further back as well, with Thierry Vermeulen trying to get a position back from Kelvin van der Linde, because they've just swapped around for 9th place. So Kelvin gains another one. Vermeulen tried to get the place back on the exit to the turn. Nothing doing. So 9th place now into the single figures for Kelvin van der Linde. I don't think he's done yet either. He's going to go after the next car, which is his old championship-winning GT Masters teammate, Patrick Niederhauser. Yes, I think Kelvin van der Linde, though, this is just rubbing salt into the wounds, because it shows how much pace is in that Audi and what might have been had he not had that first corner incident. He's making his moves forwards. The Audis are all looking very strong all of a sudden, as is Ricardo Feller in that 4th place. He's still staring at the back of Thomas Preining's car, but I'm wondering whether in the last minute and a half plus 1 lap, whether Feller might try something here.
Dennis Olsen's suddenly a lot closer to Ricardo Feller as well. He's just done a personal best lap, 1:26.70. He was only 83 thousandths quicker on the previous lap than Feller, but I think this one, it might be even closer. Yeah, 1:27.0 for Feller, a 1:26.8 for Olsen. So he's gained 3 tenths in the last 2 laps, and that's going to make it a 3-way fight for the final spot on the podium between Preining, Feller and Olsen. So when they cross the line next time around, the clock is going to be close to 0, and that if he gets to 0 before Bortolotti gets there, then there'll be 1 more lap to go in this 60-minute plus 1 lap race. The first of the weekend, in this middle weekend of the season, weekend 4 of 8, round 7 of 16 for the 2023 championship, with the 2024 calendar having been announced this weekend by the ADAC. We'll be starting next April at Oschersleben, and happy to say we're going to be back here at the Nürburgring next year as well.
Lucas Auer is now the fastest man on the track. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:26.667. So he has not settled for 2nd place, but time is running out. 20 seconds plus 1 lap. Mirko Bortolotti is going to have to really drop the ball here not to win this one. Bumping over the curbs, though, we are in the absolute closing stages of this race.
Bortolotti is responding. Absolute best first sector of the lap, personal best second sector. He's about to just creep away a fraction, I think. He's having to go flat out because Auer is coming. So great response to this from Mirko Bortolotti. 0 seconds left on the clock. I think he just got to the line just before it ticked down. It was going to be close, and I think with a second to spare, he's got through, or did he know what plus 1 lap sign comes up? We didn't see him cross the line, but I reckon it was pretty tight, that, and there might be another lap at the end of this one. Very tight as they cross the line. So Bortolotti responding with a 1:26.703, half a tenth quicker than Lucas Auer on that lap. The gap just under a second between the top 2.
Yeah, I reckon we're going to get 1 more lap after this, which Ricardo Feller and Lucas Auer will be very grateful for, because it gives them just that little bit more opportunity. Bortolotti needs to hold on for just that little bit longer.
Yeah, be a wide Lamborghini that, determined to get the victory. He would love to have got Lamborghini's first ever win in the DTM. In the end, that went to his teammate from Pereira. First weekend of the season, first race of the season at Oschersleben. But the championship is on his mind. And, a bit ragged there from Ricardo Feller through 2 wheels, or half of 2 wheels through the gravel there, but he held on to what was a bucking Bronco. He has lost a bit of ground though, and more momentum going uphill to Thomas Preining, and gets sucked back into the path of Dennis Olsen, rattles the Audi over the curbs. They let the cars drift wide, continue to accelerate uphill into the Coca-Cola turn at turn 11, and Niederhauser succumbs to Kelvin van der Linde, who's gained 1 more position, 8th place. Terrific effort. Niederhauser's got to make his Audi wide again, though, because looking at the inside is the Ferrari of Thierry Vermeulen, who's about to get his best finish in his first season of DTM, looking for his first top 10 finish here. He's in 10th. Right behind him, though, it's Maro Engel, who knows this place like the back of his hand. So, yeah, 1 more lap to go. I think he crossed the line with a second still on the clock, Bortolotti. Annoyingly for him, he's got to do another lap out of this then, which he really could have done without, with Lucas Auer. Actually, though, just falling back a little bit. The gap is just over a second, Brian.
Yes, and Maro Engel putting the pressure onto Thierry Vermeulen there. The Ferrari and the Mercedes going side by side. And in the background, it is also Matthias Judy getting involved. But that extra lap could be quite significant, because a lot of these drivers would like to have finished earlier. Here's Matthias Judy to the inside of Maro Engel. He steals that position away. So for Matthias Judy, that extra lap at the end has paid off dividends.
Yeah, indeed so. Having 2 drivers having their best results of the season so far in their first season in the championship, with Vermeulen and Drudy both going well. 1 in the top 10, 1 just out of the top 10. Lucas Auer, their brave effort, but it's not quite going to be enough. I tell you what, though, after yesterday, after qualifying this morning, I think he'd have bitten your hand off to get 2nd place in the race. It's what it's going to be, because Bortolotti has just got 1 more corner to go. Mirko Bortolotti into the final corner here at the Nürburgring. It's going to be his first win of 2023, and it's going to be 7 races and 7 different winners in the championship. He takes the checkered flag. Bortolotti wins. Auer comes home second, Preining third.
Did it. Congrats, Mirko, to your first DTM victory.
Look at that, steely blue eyes. Wow. Indeed, his first ever win in the championship.
Thank you, guys.
You always remember the first one, and that's a big, big win for Mirko Bortolotti. He hasn't been on the podium this season. He's been consistently in the points. He's been knocking on the door at the top of the championship table. But he gets his first win of the season, his first win ever in the DTM, and becomes the 7th different winner of the year. But Lucas Auer with a brave fight there, 2nd place. Good to see him back on the podium after everything he's been through. Thomas Preining keeps on ratcheting up the points. He'll be 3rd. He'll get 15 championship points. His nearest rival, Sheldon van der Linde, in 7th place, will pick up 9 points. So the gap will grow by another 6 points from 12 to 18. And I think when you've got the success ballast on the car, when you've got all of the, all of the pitfalls of that weather, Brian, and everything that could have gone wrong, if you're Thomas Preining, you'll sit back and you'll say to yourself, actually, 3rd place, pretty good result today. I'll take that.
Oh, absolutely, and with that success ballast as well, as we already mentioned. So these first 3, well, particularly Mirko Bortolotti, he's had everything thrown at him this afternoon, but he has just kept it all together, has led all the way. They couldn't find the pace in that car the first 2 rounds of the season, Oschersleben and Zandvoort. They had an issue, an undisclosed issue, which they found after Zandvoort, and they've now got the speed back in that car, and he has proven it by taking his first win.
It's a replay of the restart with 13 or so minutes to go, and Anton Pereira, a lap down, managed to bottleneck the rest of the traffic jam and fended off the big rivals to the race victory for Mirko Bortolotti. That was what allowed Lucas Auer to get himself up into 2nd place. He was 4th on the restart. He got straight past the Audi of Feller, and then this was the move as he came past, eventually, Thomas Preining, because Thomas made life very difficult for him, but Lucas Auer got the line, and as I said at the time, there was no way Lucas was going to give up that corner. The Austrians fighting together on track, but it was the elder statesman of the DTM that came through to get 2nd position. Good, as ever, good hard racing from Lucas Auer, but always pretty fair, you have to say. So Bortolotti, the winner, after a topsy-turvy 39-lap race, 1 hour of really difficult testing conditions for the drivers. Over 32,000 euros raised, with over 8,000 combined race lap for the BWT Wells in Africa Fund as well. And this is going to be a great cheer when he gets out of the car, and there'll be an even bigger cheer on the podium if he can get out of the car, because Thomas is parked a bit close to him there. He doesn't want to bash the door on the side of the Porsche. Cool as you like here, Mirko Bortolotti, just make sure he does everything properly in terms of all the procedures. Oh dear, there you go, battered the paintwork.
Well, it looks like Thomas is getting out the wrong side. I think clearly his door is jammed or up against something, so they've meeting in the middle, I think.
Oh, it's like you've got a brand new car and you don't want to park it in the multi-storey because somebody's going to swing their door into the side of your car. Up onto the roof he goes. He couldn't care less because Mirko Bortolotti finally, at last, is a winner in the DTM. And huge, huge victory that from pole position. He has been the man to beat all weekend long so far. SSR Performance get their second win in DTM after Front Pereira got the victory. Lamborghini get their second win in the DTM as well. I think they're happy in the background, punching the air and then some. We've yet to see Mirko get his helmet off. He always takes ages to get the helmet off. You always want to tell him, hurry up, we want to see the grin on your face. He's a cool customer. And I don't think anybody will argue that that is a hugely well-deserved second-place trophy for Lucas Auer. Given that the guy, you know, was laid up in hospital at the start of the year with these massive injuries to his back. He was saying yesterday, Brian's got a huge scar all the way up his spine, and the guy's come back against the odds, and he's back on the DTM podium, and fully well deserved that. So there, Thomas Priding extending his championship lead, which is all that really matters at the end of the day for him. It's been a great season. It's his fourth visit to the podium this year. And yeah, he's now picked up at least one podium in every weekend so far in 2023. That's the way you do it. Right, let's get some reaction down with Verena in the pit lane.
And I've got Lucas Auer here. Congratulations. What a story. Coming from PA to P2, you've got to be absolutely thrilled.
Yes, very good start, good pit stop strategy, and then a mega restart at the end. So incredible race, to be honest.
And also picking up all these positions. I mean, that's really, you were on a fly. So I guess it wasn't that tough for you because in the back, there was so much happening, so many accidents, a jungle out there, and then you were just in the front. I guess it was just missing a little bit to maybe even go first.
No, when we look at the qualifying, you know, I was actually missing a lot. So P2 is a win today. Mirko did an absolute brilliant job. And the rest today was really important. No mistakes, staying calm. It was really difficult with the rain. So, you know, today a bit calmer was the right way to go.
You did a great job. Thank you so much, Luki, and back to you.
Thanks, Verena, and well done, very well done to Lucas Auer. And to that man, Mirko Bortolotti. Told you be as cool as a cucumber. He's about to get his first winner's trophy in the DTM, and there is the margin of victory, just over a second between Bortolotti and Auer. Priding in third, Ricardo Feller, another good result, fourth place. Dennis Olsen likewise in fifth. Marco Wittmann coming through to sixth. Sheldon van der Linde really coming through to seventh. Calvin van der Linde with loads of overtaking to get himself up to eighth place after a disaster at the start. Niederhauser and Vermeulen in the top 10. Drudy, his best result in the 11th. Engel in 12th. Paul in 13th gets his first ever DTM Championship points. Tim Heinemann 14th, and Lucas Stoltz recovering to get the last championship point in 15th. Hard luck stories though for a number of drivers. Jack Aitken completely out of luck today. You can say the same for René Rast. The decisions and the rain and the pit stops just did not go in their favour. Likewise, Lauer and Heinrich, who could have had much better days, all three of them. But it wasn't to be, and just to rub salt into the wounds, Brian, the clouds are now white and fluffy and the sun is starting to come back out again.
Get out the sun cream. Well, it could all change again tomorrow, so this weekend is not over yet.
No, super slow-mos then of your top three here for round 7 of the championship. Thomas Priding for the local team, Manthey EMA, or at least half local because they're running with the Australian team EMA this year in a partnership for the 2023 season. Lucas Auer for Team Winward coming home in second. Porsche third, Mercedes second. And of course, Lamborghini in first place to show just how wide open it is in this year's championship. Mirko Bortolotti, the victor. Quickest yesterday, quickest in qualifying, quickest and winning the race today here to really start to pile the pressure on and climb up that championship table. He was 6th at the start of the weekend. He's up into the top 3 in the points now. and he is firing on all cylinders, but he'll have a bit more success ballast. He will have success ballast to take into the race tomorrow, and there you can see just what it means to SSR Performance, their second season in the championship. They switched from Porsche to Lamborghini this year, and it's all going rather well, and that's the reaction to the team, because they put huge amounts of work into it. You'd think they would run the championship, well deserved. A huge amount of work goes into all of this from the guys and girls behind the scenes. I've never seen anybody so happy. Blimey.
Who is that man?
I'll tell you what, go and find him in the pits. He'll buy you a drink later on. He'll buy everybody a drink. He's absolutely delighted. Right, podium presentation time. Oh, that was all a bit glum, wasn't it? Thomas Priding is on the podium. Lucas Auer is on the podium, but to the top step of the podium for the first time in his DTM career. The polar opposite of how he felt 12 months ago at the Nürburgring, where it was utter disappointment. It's Mirko Bortolotti, the winning team, our SSR Performance. Great job by the team all weekend long as well. And we'll now celebrate on the podium. We'll have the national anthem first, though, of our race winner. Well, Verena said, what are you going to do to win this race? Then he said, yeah, pretty much words to the effect of, drive quickly, keep everybody behind me. He did just that, got everything absolutely spot on. And he's going to receive a huge trophy as a result of that. Gern Ensner from the ADAC presents another spectacular trophy to our race winner, which in this case is Mirko Bortolotti, who had the always jolly, uplifting national anthem of Italy playing out. The crowd are cheering. And Aaron Araslan now presents a well-deserved second-place trophy to Lucas Auer. I bet that feels like a win after everything he's been through. His 21st podium in the DTM. David Odencourt started the race, got the start your engines board up. He is now presenting the third-place trophy to the championship leader, Thomas Priding, who looks quietly satisfied with that result, as well he might. And the winning team, of course, our SSR Performance, another trophy to add to their growing collection. And there'll be lots of celebrations tonight, but also a focus ahead, because they are very much, as a team, and with the driver, Mirko Bortolotti, involved in the fight for the championship. And the job this weekend is only half done. Another race to come there then. Confirmation of that 18-point gap. Bortolotti just by a point moving ahead of Sheldon van der Linde now. Sixth at the start of the weekend, second in the championship now. But it is Thomas Priding that continues to nose further and further clear of the chasing pack. Champagne celebrations now on the podium for race one here at the Nürburgring. And Mirko Bortolotti is going to enjoy the sweet taste of champagne. A well-deserved victory, well-deserved podium for all three drivers. But you know what the DTM is like, as we keep proving time and time again. What you see here is going to be completely different probably to what you see tomorrow. So that consistency is going to be absolutely critical this year. And Mirko has had that in abundance, hasn't he? Super consistent. One of the drivers has been in the points in all the races so far. And now he adds his name to the list of different race winners. Well, if you haven't got a podium all year and then you finally get one, you might as well, Mirko, just go straight to the top. And that's exactly what he's done. So it was great to see all that reaction, wasn't it, from SSR Performance, just what it meant to the team. They are grinning ear to ear, as well they might. Right, so let's have a look back at some of the highlights from what was a spectacular and hard-to-predict race. Off the start, it was all good until we got to the first corner. The big incident between Font Pereira and Kelvin van der Linde. There were incidents with Sheldon van der Linde trying to come through the field. He had a good battle for a number of laps there with the Grasser Racing team, Lamborghini of Clement Schmidt. They're coming together between Schumacher and we didn't see that one destroying one of the bollards there was Kelvin van der Linde on his march up the order. Lucas Stoltz sent it to the spin but got back into the points. Then the rain came, then the carnage off the road and spiralling into the side of Engine Guen was Christian Engelhardt. We're thankful that both of them are okay. So a very lively race as we get some more reaction now down in the pit lane.
And I've got Thomas Preining here. You started in P2, now you ended up in P3. How tough was it out there? I mean, Auer then overtook you. How tough was it for you?
Honestly, it feels a bit like a win. I mean, we still had obviously the 20 kilos from Nürburgring, so I thought realistically we're going to probably finish around P6. So getting another podium and such a good result, a lot of points, is obviously super great. And I'm a bit disappointed I couldn't hold on to P2, but the SSR guys simply played Pereira perfectly at the restart. He fully blocked me and I couldn't really accelerate, and then Auer got me into turn 1, but in the end it's nevertheless a great result. I'm happy.
And as you mentioned, you're the leader of the championship. You managed to extend the lead. So what are your plans? What are you hoping for tomorrow?
Similarly good results, of course. It's all about, or not all about, but a lot about qualifying, especially at Nürburgring, of course. And yeah, we just need to get back to work now, see what we can still improve from today, and hopefully get another good day tomorrow.
All right, well, best of luck, Thomas. Thank you so much. And we're just going to grab Mirko over there, because the man who managed to get his first win in the season, in fact, his first podium, is this man right here, Mirko Bortolotti. And I got to see a smile now. I mean, you've got to be so relieved and so excited about this win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, who saw the season last year already? In Portimao, the first race, we were so close to it, and we had that technical issue. And then after that, we really never really managed to get a win. And also this year, the season started really in a tough way, especially on my end of the garage. So, yeah, we never gave up. We kept working. I need to thank SSR Performance. They did a fantastic job. Everybody, Lamborghini, and I even also want to thank GRT for last year, because yeah, they gave me an opportunity to be here last year, and yeah, I spent 7 years with them. So, huge respect for Gottfried and his team as well. And just a special day for us.
All right, well, congratulations. Enjoy the moment. I mean, what a win, that's for sure. And it was really an exciting race here today, the first race at the Nürburgring. And now we're looking forward to another exciting day tomorrow. You do not want to miss tomorrow's race. So see you then, and now here are the highlights.